2025 is the best time to grow as a content creator and as an influencer on social media. And I do think the TikTok ban might be the best thing that's ever happened to content creators, which I know is a take that a lot of people aren't saying. And so today we're going to be unpacking the future of social media in 2025, all the different platforms, my biggest pieces of advice of what I would do as a creator going into 2025, because social media is going through a huge shift right now. It was 5 years ago where so many creators that you know started posting on TikTok in 2020 and blew up in 2020. So hitting the 5-year point on that mixed with ChatGPT, our favorite girl over here, entering the chat, and then also the potential TikTok ban, or maybe by the time we're watching this, the ban is happening or has already happened. I think social media has genuinely never been a better place to be as a content creator and as an influencer. And we are stepping into a really good time for growth. And I know it can feel like a lot, like Snapchat's coming back, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, Instagram carousels, TikTok getting banned, not getting banned. Like social media is ever changing. And I know specifically going into 2025, it can feel like a lot. I love social media so much. I live and breathe content creation. I've worked in this world for over 10 years in corporate marketing and influencer marketing and content creation. I've also worked with over 500 content creators in the last year and a half. So I feel like I have a really good pulse on how people are feeling, how brands are spending their money, where creators are really thriving and not thriving. And spoiler alert, creators are hating TikTok right now. So we're going to unpack it all today. I'm so excited to dive into it. And also today is the 4th episode of our series, 100K season. I can't believe we're already done with the series. If this is the first video of mine you're seeing, then go check out the other 3 parts. But this 4-part series has been so much fun to do, all about how to enter your 100K era as a content creator, as an influencer on social media in 2025. This is such a fun way to end the series. I love talking about social media predictions and the future of everything going on. So thank you for coming along with me on the 100K season series. And let's get into how you're going to thrive on social media in 2025 and the future of social media. Before we get into the video chatting about the future of social media, we need to talk about one of the best ways to grow as a creator, which is really investing into building your skills and building your knowledge when it comes to social media and content creation. And that is where our sponsor today comes in, Coursera. Coursera now has this amazing certificate that you can take to get certified and put this on your resume, put it on your LinkedIn. It's in collaboration with Adobe, and it is called the Adobe Content Creator Professional Certificate. It is a 4-course certificate that you can take completely online, which is such a good way to kickstart your journey and kickstart your year as a content creator. If you work in freelance with content creator clients, you're a content creator and influencer yourself, this is such a good certificate to add to your experience. So throughout the certificate, you'll gain skills in content strategy, social media, how to use AI for content creation, visual design, content production, and so much more. So throughout the course, you can build out your own content strategy for social media, which is so cool. Definitely go check it out. It's such a good way to kickstart your year as a content creator on social media by investing into knowledge and really building your skills in social media and content creation. So definitely go check out Coursera. They also have so many other amazing courses. By using the link in the description, you can receive $200 off your first year of Coursera Plus Annual. This lasts until January 20th of 2024. And this offer is limited. It's only accessible through the link in the description. So definitely go check it out. Everything is linked to my bio, and let's get into the video. Okay, the first thing I want to say is that it is not too late to become a content creator, thrive on social media, pop off on social media in 2025. Influencer marketing. I'm going to pull up an Influencer Marketing Hub report. Influencer marketing by the end of 2024 is going to be worth $24 billion. 2023, it was $21 billion. We're up $3 billion in a year. Somebody who has not even created a YouTube account yet is going to blow up on YouTube. Somebody who has not even started on Instagram is going to blow up on Instagram. The more that you believe it is too late or it's impossible or it's never going to happen, it's not going to happen because that's what you believe, and your brain will find information to confirm that through confirmation bias. So just believe that social media is not oversaturated. It's not too late. Influencer marketing has never been bigger. And as a listener of the Busy Blooming podcast, you are somebody who you are not worried about the TikTok ban. You're not worried about the future of social media because you know everything you need to know. So let's get into it. Let's firstly talk about the elephant in the room, the TikTok ban. And what are we going to do without TikTok? TikTok has always been my biggest platform. At the time of filming this, I have 144,000 followers on TikTok. And so many creators I meet with, TikTok is their biggest platform. But I do have to say, regardless of at the time, if you're watching this, if the TikTok ban has happened or it hasn't happened, from somebody who meets with creators every single week, people are not loving TikTok right now. Not everybody, but for the most part, people are finding TikTok extremely discouraging. The algorithm is not giving what it needs to give. People are just finding that their views have never been lower on TikTok. TikTok serves lots of different types of content, like long form content, short form content, obviously photos, carousels, stories. It doesn't equally push out content as well as other platforms. platforms are doing right now. And it can be really, really discouraging. So that is one piece of it. But also I feel like this TikTok ban, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? This has been going on for like 3-4 years. TikTok actually has been banned before. It was banned in India in 2020. And I feel like creators are getting really worried that TikTok actually is going to get banned at some point. So they're stopping to put so much effort and time into TikTok. And I think brands are doing the same. What I'm noticing as a creator and what I'm noticing with creators I work with is brands are investing more money into brand deals on Instagram and YouTube because they're worried about this TikTok ban as well. So regardless of if the TikTok ban has actually happened by the time you're watching this, I do think TikTok is out in 2025. People are worried about the ban. It seems really volatile. The algorithm is extremely discouraging right now. And I think people are really craving some growth and community, and TikTok is just not giving those things. We're going to talk more about all of that in a second, but the platforms that I think are in 2025 is Instagram, YouTube, and Snapchat. But again, as our self-appointed boss as a content creator, I would tell you to really focus on YouTube and Instagram in 2025 and pause a little bit on TikTok. Let's go through each one and why I think this and what I'd recommend. Also, before I get into it, I do have to say the video last week, the third part of this series, was a full-on YouTube and Instagram-based content calendar. Yes, it does still work for TikTok, but if you're thinking, okay, how do I post on Instagram and YouTube? How do I be consistent? Like, what do I do? I literally gave you a day-by-day content calendar, content ideas in the last video, so you can go check that out. So first, let's talk about YouTube, because my biggest prediction for 2025 is that YouTube is absolutely going to take over social media, because I think YouTube, honestly, is kind of preying on the downfall of TikTok. YouTube Shorts was launched a while ago, but YouTube Shorts has been making a few changes, even in the last few months. In October, YouTube Shorts launched 3-minute Reels. Recently announced that they are soon going to launch a completely new UI, user interface for YouTube Shorts. So the way that you view content and scroll and like and share is going to be better and different. They've also updated how YouTube Shorts looks on your YouTube channel. So it's nicely integrated in its own little section on your YouTube channel. I do predict that YouTube Shorts will add carousels into their algorithm. Something that's interesting is that when TikTok was banned in India in 2020, 200 million users went over to YouTube and over to Instagram. So I think YouTube is anticipating the same influx of people over on YouTube. Not that you really can compare TikTok and Vine because they're not the same. Vine walked so TikTok could run. There was no big Vine corporate offices like there are for TikTok, which actually recently all the Canadian TikTok offices got shut down. So that is not looking good, I do have to say. So I think YouTube is going to absolutely take over short form content, because I think YouTube long form content is really making, I don't want to say a comeback because I don't think it ever really left, but I think it's going to make an increase. I think more creators are craving long form content. Our attention spans have completely lost the plot. They are not okay. People are really wanting more depth and community and real authentic content. So I do think YouTube long form content is going to increase in 2025. And because of that, how nice is it to have all your short form content, all your long form content under the same account, the same channel? And what's so cool about YouTube Shorts is that you can actually link a related video to your YouTube short. So I could post a clip from this podcast as a short and relate it to the full long episode, which is so seamless. No other platform does that. And YouTube is the only platform for long form content. Yes, you can post 15-minute long reels on Instagram technically, even though those won't go out to anybody who don't follow you, because only 90-second and under reels go to people who don't follow you. And yes, you can post 10-minute long videos on TikTok, but let's be real, who posts a whole vlog on TikTok and Instagram Reels? Nobody. YouTube just is the owner of long form content, vlogs, and podcasts. And I think YouTube Shorts' downfall, why people haven't really used it, is because it's always been 60 seconds and the user interface of it hasn't been as gorgeous, I feel as it could be. And I think YouTube knows that. Google is okay, TikTok's definitely gonna get banned. Let's give YouTube Shorts a glow up. So in 2025 or 2026, whatever gets banned, we are going to get all the long form people who want to do long form content and the short form all blended into one. I really do think YouTube is the best place to invest your time. I work with content creators who do YouTube Shorts alone and have grown 200, 300,000 followers just from YouTube Shorts. You can monetize YouTube Shorts. So as a creator, I think YouTube Shorts has the potential to really take over short form content. Also, YouTube is the longest standing platform. Again, it came out in 2005, 20 years ago, which is so crazy. And it's owned by Google, which is owned by Alphabet. It's such a reliable company. And I'm sure you know of creators and watch creators creators who have had a decade-long career on YouTube. So I feel like if you had to bank on one platform of all your time, all your energy, I would really bank on YouTube, invest your time into YouTube Shorts and YouTube long-form content. I also think YouTube is kind of in a way trying to become like the one-stop shop of social media. They have the long-form content, vlogs and sit-down videos that no one else has. But they also have YouTube Music. And did anybody else notice how YouTube came out with a YouTube Music wrap this year? But I do think YouTube Music is trying to become like a Spotify, which we're going to talk about podcasts and Spotify in a second. But I do think YouTube is trying to become the Spotify with YouTube Music, the TikTok with YouTube Shorts, and the YouTube of YouTube vlogs and long-form content. Potentially, I could see them maybe retrying to add stories. Stories were discontinued in June of 2023 on YouTube, but I could see them potentially adding stories and also adding carousels to really be like the one-stop shop. Also, people really watch YouTube on their TV, so like YouTube is also kind of replacing television. I think if Google really decided like, okay, let's become the social media platform and absolutely become a monopoly, I think that they could. So regardless, my big piece of advice for creators in 2025 is get on YouTube. It's a really good use of your time and your energy, in my opinion, as a creator. Okay, next, let's talk about Instagram. So I think people are really going to flock towards YouTube and Instagram. Those are the two best platforms, I think, to be on. But again, just like YouTube is owned by Google, Instagram is owned by Meta, a huge company. And Instagram has been growing this year. I feel like a lot of creators have gone onto Instagram and invested their time into Instagram. And Instagram and YouTube are actually very complementary, which is why, again, I think it's such a good time to grow as a creator. Because TikTok was never as complementary, and I'm already talking about TikTok in the past, but TikTok was and is, if it's not banned yet, complementary as much to Instagram and YouTube as they are to each other, because TikTok was short form content and kind of only short form content, which the other two platforms had, but YouTube and Instagram actually have kind of different features and elements to their social media platforms, which makes them work really well together. What Instagram does that YouTube just doesn't is carousels. And I talk about carousels all the time. The whole video of the last video was pretty much about your content calendar full of carousels on Instagram. And yes, TikTok does have carousels, but carousels on Instagram are just better. The user interface, in my opinion, is just better. Carousels get served if you add music in your Reels feed, so they go to people who don't follow you, and they do go to people who follow you. Instagram has done a really good job of doing the strength of TikTok, with TikTok's strength used to be being on people's For You page and really reaching people who don't follow you, and you never really went in the following feed. Most of the time, the content you posted went to people who don't follow you, which is why the reach was so good, along with other reasons. But I feel like Instagram is actually taking that and emulating that with the Reels feed and the Explore feed, and they're actually really trying to help creators grow and pushing out your content to people who don't follow you. The Reels algorithm is actually different than the feed and the stories. The Reels algorithm is designed to reach people who don't follow you, and your feed, like the photos, singular photos that you post, and your stories are for people who do follow you, and carousels are for both. And carousels are actually the only type of content on Instagram that gets served to you multiple times. I learned this when working with Meta this year as part of their Instagram creators class, which was such a dream. And I did not know this before, but Instagram carousels actually get served to you multiple times. So if your carousel comes across my feed and I rudely don't like it or don't engage with it, it will actually come back to my feed again, and I'll see it again and get another chance to engage with it, which is kind of interesting. So Instagram has the carousels going for them, but they also have the stories. But Instagram stories are absolutely unmatched because of the stickers that they have. So they have poll stickers, question box stickers, like the user interface of Instagram stories of how you watch them. You can respond to them, you can comment on them now. It is just absolutely completely unmatched. And I do think another prediction I have for 2025 is that social media, people are going to crave story content. And I think stories are actually going to be more important than they are now. I think a lot of people treat stories, and I do this as well, as like outfit of the day, my coffee, my journal, like Sephora haul, like really casual things. But I do think stories are going to be more integral into people's content strategy. And I actually could see Instagram potentially adding somehow like a stories feed where they do go to people who don't follow you potentially. But regardless, Instagram has the stories and the carousels, and Instagram is really designed for community and for business. You can have a shop, you can link things on your Instagram stories that people can go get, you can DM creators really easily, you have broadcast channels. Like, who actually looks at their TikTok DM? So for all those reasons, I really could see Instagram being a huge, if not the biggest platform alongside YouTube in 2025. So if you're wondering, what do I post on Instagram? What do I post on YouTube? Go check out the last video where I have a whole content calendar all about that in episode 3. Okay, let's quickly talk about Snapchat. When I think of Snapchat, I think of being in 2016 with the dog filter, Snapchatting my friends in university. If you told me that almost 10 years later, influencers were making millions of dollars on Snapchat, I would be absolutely shocked. I think people are really craving social media. I feel like I have such a love-hate relationship with the advice that Gary Vee gives. But I saw him saying that it's not really social media anymore. It's like information media. Like people just go on social media to learn things and get tips. And it's not really to socialize anymore. I think people are really craving socializing on social media. And I actually think Snapchat is going to be the only platform where you truly can socialize with people in your personal life and post as a creator, which is so cool. But I think because stories are going to make a big impact in the world of social media, I think that because Snapchat is a story-based platform, that is why people are really craving authenticity in real content and live content, and that's what Snapchat does. That being said, would people post different things on Snapchat than they would on Instagram stories and go through the effort to do that? I don't know. That's like one of the kryptonites I could see happening for Snapchat is just a story-based platform. So unless Snapchat really does add an easy short form video feed, I don't know how much it will take off, but I do think it is something to try out as a creator. One thing I actually like about Snapchat now is that a couple of my friends, my family have it. We have been Snapchatting each other personally, but then I can also in the same app post a similar story publicly, which is very, very interesting. So I could see people kind of treating Snapchat in a way how they used to treat TikTok and close friend stories, where you're putting kind of your unhinged, unfiltered content all over Snapchat. I could see it working for that. So as a creator, I would recommend trying it out a little bit, at least getting on it, setting up your profile. I will do a whole video on it. I just need to try it out a little bit more. But regardless, I do think a lot of people are commenting that Snapchat is making a comeback. I do see why people say that. And I think it's actually worth setting up a profile and trying as a creator in 2025. Now let's talk about our favorite girly over here, ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT is really going to change and has been changing the landscape of influencer marketing and content creation, influencer world, and the influencer world in general on social media, because ChatGPT is equipping and educating people in a way that you are so empowered as a consumer through ChatGPT that you can really learn. And I'm not going to say anything. You can learn a lot on ChatGPT. ChatGPT is something that we've just never had as content creators. If you're a coach or you do courses or ebooks, like I do think ChatGPT is really going to change the landscape of that. People are actually going to want different type of educational content on social media, because people are going to want to sit down and watch a video of stuff they could just ask their best friend and therapist ChatGPT. It used to always be like, don't make content about things you can Google. ChatGPT is like so beyond that. And so I think it's what it's going to do, coaches, content tips aside. I think in general as content creators, what ChatGPT is going to do is make users really crave the most like human, personal, light content ever. And I think that's going to be a huge change in social media, is people are really going to crave like light, unserious content. What social media is like very unserious, but I think the energy of content people are going to want a little bit different, because ChatGPT is going to fulfill that need for like quick education, more intense sit down, like class-like education. And I think people are really, even if they want tips, they want education, they want to learn something, they're going to want to learn it from somebody through talking about their own experience, their own personal, like working with other people, their own mistakes. They're going to want to hear like relatable thoughts, relatable memes. Another huge change I think it's going to make for social media is that it's going to force people to make unique AF content, like such unique content, because ChatGPT could write you a content calendar, a content schedule, an ebook, a full book. So it's actually going to force creators to have to be quite unique, which I think is such a good thing, because again, social media is never oversaturated. There's only one of you. So it's going to force you to focus in on those unique parts about you. You're not really going to be able to post things like, here's what exclusivity means as a content creator. Like, again, people already know that that's not unique, but you could do a video on how it's so annoying, how brands always leave out exclusivity, or like something like you could be like my personal experience with exclusivity, or like what I always see in contracts. But that's such a different type of content. So it's really going to push out and like make unique content rise to the top of the algorithm on social. I also made a whole video on TikTok and Instagram Reels about this, but I do think people are going to use ChatGPT as their manager to negotiate brand deal contracts, scan brand deal contracts, write pitch emails, negotiate brand deals and emails. But I do think people are going to start using it more as a manager and actually rely a little bit less on managers, I think, as an influencer world for more mid-sized, smaller creators, because ChatGPT will not take 20% of your brand deals. So I think ChatGPT in general is going to change the type of content people create and people want, and really force you to be human and unique and light and funny, and really get rid of anything that you could just search on ChatGPT. And same with podcasting. So let's talk about podcasting for a second, because again, ChatGPT could just write you like a podcast script on what to say about certain things, but I think podcasting is actually changing quite a bit too. Recently, Spotify launched this new interface where they could have a short form video now. So you can actually scroll a short form video. You just go to the podcast section of your Spotify. They're actually just teasers right now for different episodes. So for this episode in Spotify, I will have a teaser. So that will go in the short form feed. But I do think Spotify will eventually have a short form feed of just podcast clips, which I think could be really, really interesting. Another prediction I have for social media with podcasting is that I think podcasting is just going to infiltrate all social media. I think podcasting clips will really be a huge part of social content in the Reels feed, in the YouTube Shorts feed. I even see people who make fake podcasts just to create content, which honestly is not a bad idea. Like they literally set up their camera and a podcast mic and pretend they're on a podcast and like talk. So I think podcast clips are going to just be everywhere in 2025. I think podcasting is also one of those things that's not too late. So I think the short form feed, I think Spotify introducing that's quite interesting. I think it's just going to be everywhere over social media. I also think podcasting in general is going through a bit of a shift. I feel like podcasts originally started like 10 years ago, but people just having conversations. And I'm going to talk about this in the next video where I talk about like the biggest mistakes I see with creators this last year. But I think one of the shifts going into podcasting is that people are really still treating it like a 2016 podcast or 2010 podcast where people would just come on and have like casual conversations. But I do think because people and users of social media are so equipped and empowered with information from ChatGPT and just in general from social media content, that I think people are really going to want more intentional content. And you're not just going to click on a podcast without a clear title and a clear reason to click on it and watch it. And I do think there is such an art to doing podcasts on YouTube. And I do think that the conversation casual podcasts that don't really have a like reason or value, it's just like people having fun. I think, and I might be wrong with this, but I don't think that has as much room to grow as it used to. Not to say that it can't, but I do think that was more popular. But now people really watch podcasts like a daytime TV show, either like in an interview where they want to hear from one specific person about one specific thing. Okay, so why is all of this such good news for content creators? I think it's because one of the hardest parts about content creation is creating on every single platform and being on every platform and repurposing on everything. And I think over the decades of social media, the best two platforms are really rising to the top, Instagram and YouTube. And I do think as a creator, your strategy has become simplified. And I would say it's a really good thing to now only really know that you have to focus on YouTube and Instagram and maybe a little bit of Snapchat. But I feel like you have a clear focus as a creator, which is really nice. I also think building community, of course, is one of the most important parts as a creator. What are the best two platforms to do that? YouTube and Instagram. TikTok is notorious for being difficult to grow community on because content does always go out to people who don't follow you. The DM user interface is not great. The comments as well, like it's just not as good as Instagram does it. The stories are not as good as Instagram. The whole user interface of Instagram is so much better for community. When you're watching content that's long, that's 30 minutes, 1 hour long content, you're building community through that way. So I think community is going to be a lot easier to build as a creator as well. And also you don't have to film as much content because carousels are on Instagram and YouTube long form content. You can take clips and put them all over Instagram and YouTube Shorts. TikTok has always been one of those social media platforms where people say film 1 to 10 videos a day. It's always been, and even though I've never given this advice, but people have always given the advice and said that you should post, and they post a million times a day, but that is just not the case as much on YouTube and Instagram. So it kind of takes the pressure of having to post so much content all the time. And again, in the video I posted last week of your content calendar, you could do one YouTube video, sit down like this, a couple carousels, and you don't have to actually even film more content necessarily because you can use clips, you can use voiceovers. So it really alleviates your time a lot as a creator as well. Also, brand deal rates are usually higher on Instagram and YouTube as well, which is really great. So overall, if you're thinking like, okay, my life is ending and social media is dying and everything's horrible because TikTok is getting banned and it's 2025 and Snapchat's making a comeback and I feel confused and overwhelmed, it's good news. Like 2025 has never been a better time to grow on social media. YouTube and Instagram are here. I really think YouTube is going to take over and it's such good news. And you always can start fresh. And when you do start fresh or you're already starting, you want to expand, Busy Blooming is here. You have a community of tens of thousands of people over here who watch this show, who are also creators and entrepreneurs, influencers, podcasters, and we're all over here. And we're just like the kindest, nicest people on social media. So I'm so excited for 2025. I can't wait to see what happens with social media and where things go. But I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed this series of 100K season. I had so much fun doing it. Also, make sure to go check out Coursera. I'll link it down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay,